On December 24, 2017, the FCC repealed its laws on net neutrality. Net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers should allow access to all applications and data no matter the source. One concern about this is the amount of money people will have to spend to pay access certain websites and applications. What this means is that broadband companies like Verizon or Comcast will begin to charge people fees to do certain things online, such as stream TV shows or watch YouTube videos. Another one of the many concerns about repealing net neutrality is what it means in terms of information being withheld. With these laws gone, ISPs can choose what they want civilians to see. This relates back to 1984 when Winston says, "This process of continuous alteration was applied not only to newspapers, but to books, periodicals, pamphlets, posters, leaflets, films, soundtracks, cartoons, and photographs." What Winston means is that the party picks and chooses which pieces of information to alter and release to the public. Now that net neutrality is gone, ISPs have similar powers. Ajit Pai is the chairman for the FCC. He was appointed to this position in January of 2017 by President Donald Trump. Before he was chairman, he served as commissioner at the FCC, appointed by former President Barack Obama. As Chairman Pai noticed, broadband has become crucial to life online. In telecommunications, broadband allows for several messages to be sent simultaneously. Pai has nicknamed this phenomenon the democratization of entrepreneurship. However, a plethora of Americans still do not have broadband. Pai noticed this firsthand and decided to advocate for a plan to give broadband to all Americans. Pai says the federal government must make broadband more accessible, which is why he proposed a plan to repeal laws on net neutrality. According to Pai, he is restoring internet freedom, although some argue he is taking it away. 83% of Americans do not approve of the FCC repealing net neutrality. With over 2 million people signing the petition to keep net neutrality, the law to repeal it still passed. The 17% of Americans in favor of the repealing evidently won with the help of Chairman Ajit Pai and Commissioner Brendan Carr. According to Pai, the bipartisan plan of preserving the vibrant and competitive free market that presently exists for the internet was more successful than the Obama-era institutions of heavy micromanagement. Contrary to popular belief, Pai compares today's regulations to a digital dystopia. However, one could argue that the rules Pai is advocating for are more 1984-esque than before. A reason that the vast majority of Americans oppose net neutrality is because of the loss of internet freedom. Chairman Pai says that Americans will still be able to do simple things like take selfies or stream Netflix shows, but in some cases with extra fees applied. Commissioner Carr argues that every effect of the Obama-era regulations were inadequate. He and Chairman Pai worked together to restore things to the way they were. In 2014, people predicted the new net neutrality laws would allow the internet to become a platform for free speech, and they did exactly that. Life before 2014 was what life was like without net neutrality. The net neutrality law sensation of 2017 was a bit far-fetched and even a bit hyperbolic because there were not many complaints in 2014. In fact, Chairman Pai received an immense amount of hate over his desire to repeal net neutrality. Not much can happen in a month, but things may not get to the extremes people are describing. Proponents of net neutrality have been trying to calm civilians down by explaining the possibilities of internet use without net neutrality, but people are not excited about extra fees and, in some cases, slower internet. If the fees are not paid, the speed of the application or website slows down. With net neutrality, these websites had a fast lane, which allowed for the ISP to pay for the speed costs. People still in favor of the abolishment of net neutrality have argued that the ISPs rarely show favoritism towards sites without net neutrality. Also, the FCC has the power to stop ISPs from charging unfair rates, so fees would be applied, but maybe not an outrageous amount. According to these graphs, a whopping 99.3% of public comments about the FCC have related to net neutrality, while the 0.4% was about other issues. There were also over 5 million comments about net neutrality in 2017, but only 3 million in 2014. With Comcast, its contributors are paying over $12 million for their campaign, and its lobbyers are paying $14 million for theirs, whereas Netflix's lobbyers are only paying $800,000, $13.2 million less. With AT&T taking the lead, its lobbyers are paying $16 million. Fixed access solutions help with expanding broadband, and Netflix has a 44.6% usage of fixed access, but only a 4.6% usage of mobile access. 61% of Democrats support net neutrality, and 59% of Republicans support it as well. A lesser amount of Democrats oppose net neutrality, with only 39% opposed. Only 41% of Republicans are opposed as well. According to TechCrunch.com, it is a myth that Title II regulations are necessary to preserve a free and open internet. Title II essentially protects websites and ISPs from favoritism. The fact is that internet was free and open prior to the FCC adopting Title II regulations in 2015. Another myth is that Title II regulations haven't reduced infrastructure investment and broadband deployment. Broadband capital expenditures decreased by $3.6 billion. However, it is also a myth that Title II regulations are good for online privacy. It actually puts American privacy at risk, leading America to the maybe dreaded eventual totalitarian government of 1984. It is also commonly believed that Title II regulations are good for innovation. In fact, Title II regulations have produced a lack of innovation for internet service providers. And finally, it is false that Title II regulations help with free speech. Instead, they do the exact opposite. Even though the law already passed, if you still want to fight for net neutrality, here are some ways that you can. Some simple and fast ways to take action are to sign petitions. You give them your name and email, and your name is on the list among millions of other names. Also, with a specific phone number, you can reach government officials. There's no guarantee that net neutrality will come back, but it definitely does not hurt to try. If you are fighting to abolish net neutrality, there is not much you can do, because you have already won. If you are worried about it going away, however, you can use the same phone number to contact a government official and let them know how you feel about net neutrality and why it should be gone. There is still hope for those of you who support net neutrality, though. Congress can easily repeal the abolishment of net neutrality through a law called the Congressional Review Act, or a CRA. According to publicknowledge.org, members of Congress can act to nullify the FCC's rollback of net neutrality by introducing and passing a resolution of disapproval as soon as the FCC's new order has been both published in the Federal Register and sent to Congress in an official report. After that, members of Congress have 60 legislative days to introduce a resolution of disapproval that cannot be amended or blocked by a filibuster. Once the FCC voted, Senator Edward Markey announced his plans to introduce a CRA. 19 senators have come on board with Senator Markey, including Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. If you do plan on reaching out to a government official, ask them to support their senators and to support their CRA.